aioli. That is a French word for basically mayonnaise, and it's mayonnaise made from scratch. So why would you bother making aioli from scratch? Well, for one thing, it tastes fantastic. You can season it up however you want. You know exactly what's in it, and you can make it much more healthier for yourself if you want to. So what is in a basic aioli? Well, you need an egg yolk. You need a little bit of oil, and what binds it all together or keeps it from splitting, because that's water-based and this is oil-based, is, believe it or not, a little bit of mustard. Preferably Dijon, or even dry mustard powder would work as well. You also need a little bit of acid, and that could be straight vinegar or a flavored vinegar, but I like fresh lemon juice. It gives it that nice tangy zip at the very end, so that's what I like. And of course a few aromatics such as salt and pepper, and a little bit of garlic. In fact, aioli is traditionally a garlic mayonnaise, but you can make it without any base of a flavoring, and then I can show you how you can season it up at the end. We've got some saffron here. I'm going to show you how to use an infusion process, even though this is a non-cooked sauce, and make it flavorful. And we can also add some fresh herbs. So for equipment, you need a few things, but nothing too high-tech. You're going to need a bowl to work in, and a mixer of some sort, although you can do this by hand, but I'll be honest with you, it is tiring. So if you want to have an electric mixer of some sort, whether it's a food processor or a hand blender, go for it. I do. As far as some of your aromatics, if you're using fresh lemon juice and you're doing the infusion process, you'll watch me do this later, you're going to need a very small pot if you're going to do the infusion process. Here's one over here. It's called a demi pot or a half pot. And I've got a little strainer in there just to get rid of some of the seeds for the lemon juice. And then I've got a mixer, and if you want to put some garlic in it, you can do it by hand, or take some of the elbow grease out of it and use a press. First thing I'm going to do is juice my lemon, and I'm going to put it directly into my pot and pour it over top of a tiny little strainer and make it a little bit easier for myself. Just need a little fork. Okay, so I'm done with the lemons here, and I'm going to get rid of the garbage. There you go. See all this stuff? Don't need it? Get rid of it. So I've got some freshly squeezed lemon juice in this tiny little pot here, which I know looks like Barbie's pot, but anyway, it is a real pot. And we're going to put it on the stove, and we're going to take some saffron and throw it in. Okay, let me put it on the stove, bring it up to a boil, and let it steep like tea for about 5 minutes. While that's on, I'm going to move on to garlic. I'm just going to use one big clove because this is pretty potent. I'm going to take my garlic crusher and put it in. I'm going to squeeze it through. And with the back of the knife, scrape out all the extra garlic. There you go. Alright, let's see what our lemon juice is looking like. So my lemon juice and saffron are mixing, but if you took any spice and wanted to infuse it into the lemon juice, you could do this. Just bring the lemon juice up to a boil, add your spice, let it steep like you would a cup of tea, set it aside. I want it to keep cooking for another 30 seconds or so. So our lemon juice is infusing. We have some garlic ready to go. Let's work with some herbs now. I'm also prepping my fresh herbs, and I just piled up a bunch of basil, and I wrapped it up like a cigar, and I'm going to give it a quick cut or chiffonade. Okay, nice tight cut. I'm going to go over it a little bit more often so it just gets a little bit finer. Okay, let's move on to making our base aioli or basic mayonnaise, and then I'll show you how you can season them up. So we're going to start assembling this. Now, what an aioli is an emulsified sauce. What does that mean? An emulsification of anything is when you take two things and you make them come together, and normally they wouldn't, such as water and oil. Now, an egg yolk is water-based, and we're going to be using oil. So how do we make the two combine and stay together? Kind of like a happy marriage. Well, sometimes you need a marriage counselor. Well, that's what the mustard does, okay? The mustard is the emulsifier, or the glue, that holds the egg yolk and the oil together. You need something else, though, besides a neutral third party. You need to have a lot of friction or a lot of movement. And that's where your tools come in. So within the bowl, we're going to use a mixer, or you can use a food processor, and I'll tell you the difference between when you would use one or the other. You need the friction to make the mustard hold the yolk and the oil together. So let's start combining this. So here's my egg yolk, and it's room temperature, and that is key. If your egg yolk is cold, it's not going to work. We're going to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, just enough to season it up. You could use white pepper if you wanted to, just because white pepper doesn't show up in a white sauce, but I prefer the flavor of black. And for one yolk, you just need about a 1/4 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And at the very most you're going to use, one egg yolk will emulsify or thicken just over 1/2 cup of oil. Now you can use any oil you wanted. You could use canola, which is very neutral in flavor, and that's what I'm using today. And because it's neutral in flavor, it's not going to compete with any other flavors I'm going to add to this. So that's kind of really important. But you could use any oil you wanted. Olive, coconut oil, safflower, sunflower, peanut. It's up to you. But I choose to use a neutral flavored oil. These are the only items that go into the bowl now. The egg yolk and the mustard, maybe a little salt and pepper. The lemon juice and oil come a little bit later. Okay? Let's get started. High speed. You want to break it up. Okay. So I've given this a preliminary mixing, and what I'm looking for is a paler color. That's important. I'm going to add the oil, but not all at once. I'm going to add it in little dribbles, especially in the very beginning. It's the most crucial part. And this is going to combine with the egg yolk and turn into a white sauce. It's dramatic. It's pretty incredible to watch. So why does this happen? If this is water and this is oil and this is all coming together, why does it work? It's friction. The oil molecules are getting broken up into the water molecules, and it's all becoming one. And because of the friction, it's basically crystallizing within itself and reflecting the light differently, and that's where you get white. So what we're looking for is a really thick consistency. Now remember, this is just egg yolk, mustard, oil, and a bit of salt and pepper, so it's pretty bland, it's pretty plain. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you just need a little bit of moisture in a recipe. But I'm going to show you now how to take this and make it more interesting by adding some flavors. So this is where the lemon juices and the herbs and the garlic all come into play. How do you mix this all together? Well, I'm going to divide this into 3. I'm going to take one portion, throw it in this bowl all by itself. I'm going to leave one portion in my original mixing bowl, and I'm going to take some of this and put it into my little mini food processor. I'm going to take my fresh herbs and put them in my food processor so that become bright green and a little bit more minced. And you can add as many different herbs as you like, or just one. A little bit more salt and pepper. So I'm going to cover this up, give her a whirl until it's the color I want it to be. Okay. It's almost there. At this point I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice. Plain lemon juice. And the lemon does a couple things. Besides flavor, it also thins it out a little bit. Here we go. Woo! That looks nice. See that? So here's one style of flavoring up an aioli. Use a food processor and add some fresh herbs to it. So this is a fantastic basil aioli. 1 down, 2 more to go. I'm going to take some garlic and I'm just going to throw it in here. Now I'm going to take some plain lemon juice and put it in with my garlic aioli because I don't want the saffron to taint it. The reason why I'm adding a citrus of any sort, whether it's a vinegar or a lemon juice, is because it changes the texture and adds a really nice zip to the aioli. And when you put it in the fridge for storage, it gets cold and it thickens up even firmer. Alright, it probably just needs a little more salt and pepper at this point, but I'm going to taste it. It's very nice and garlicky. It does need a pinch of salt though. And a pinch of pepper. So this is my garlic aioli. That's nice. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to have this little mound here turn into a saffron aioli. And I'm going to add a little bit of garlic to this one too, because I love garlic. Why not? And I'm going to take a little bit and put it in here. Okay. You might recall my lemon juice that I put on the stovetop in this little pot here. I let it cool down, obviously. And the saffron has thoroughly infused the lemon juice. So we're going to take a little bit of this lemon juice and put it into my little container here. And I'm going to mix it up and see the brilliant color. And you can see the threads of saffron going through here. Nice bright yellow. Okay, taste. That's good stuff. Alright, so I'm going to put this with the other two. So here before you is a trilogy of aiolis. We've got basil, we've got garlic, and we've got saffron. So in short, mayonnaise doesn't have to be boring, and you don't have to be stuck with the store-bought stuff either. Make it fresh. It tastes so much better, so much healthier for you. It still lasts about a month in the fridge. And you know what? If you make a base amount, you can flavor it up each time, or you can divide it into 3 just like I did and make a little batch of each. 1 egg yolk will emulsify or thicken approximately just over half a cup of oil. So you can easily make some fresh mayonnaise every week. It's a lot easier than you think. I'm going to taste the basil one. I don't think I tasted that. That is fresh. Wow, that is really, really fresh. So fresh herbs, garlic, and spice. And everything nice. Ciao. How's that look? Good. It has thoroughly flavored the lemon juice. So I'm going to add a little...
Thoroughly. Thoroughly.
It has thoroughly... forget how I used it. Thoroughly. It has thoroughly. I'm just going to borrow one of these whisks. Dude, for real.